Yo, I feel like no one talks about his mental health.
Hello, this is Dr. Grande. Today's question asks if I can analyze the Netflix documentary, American Murder, The Family Next Door. This film examines the Watts family murders perpetrated by Chris Watts in August of 2018. Another question here is, why is this case fascinating to so many people?
So fascinating.
Fill the room with the juice. That's a lot of loot. That bit fire. Yeah, she kinda cute.
Welcome back. So, I took the time yesterday and watched American Murder. Now, first of all, let's just go with the positives always, right? Start the video with the positives. So, I really loved the concept of, showing social media, showing Facebook, and kind of like going through her path and, what she was doing that led up to her death. That really just shows the contrast of how different your life is compared to what you put on social media. I mean, that was done phenomenally. But anybody who followed this story prior to Netflix needing to make a documentary on it knows so much. I mean, there was a time where we were just digging. I mean, it was just YouTube videos, digging interviews and the interrogation. So like a lot of what I saw on the documentary I had already seen before in different ways, in different manners, even how they interrogated him, the different structures and the different ways that they did it, and why they chose the words that they chose when they were talking to him, and just all these other little things. Like that was just like, there was a time period of just like, yes, like I remember that. So I was looking for a lot of the things that I thought I was going to see in the documentary that I didn't see. I also wanted them to highlight more of the parental structure, not necessarily with Chris and Shanann, but with the parents. I don't know why. I felt like they just didn't put enough. They just did not put enough, and they also didn't put enough about that Nicole, the side chick. Her, I feel like they could have put more. They could have definitely put more, but. Again, is the information that I'm thinking of more on a biased spectrum or more of a narrative somebody else created within their video, and that's why I have that concept? I have no idea. So, with no further ado, Dr. Todd Grande has made an analyst, and I'm curious to know how he analyzes this, because I don't really know, like, I don't know what he's gonna say here. You know what I mean? I really want the narcissism that is highlighted within Chris Watts to be just spotlighted. Like, actually, let's talk about that for a second. So, Chris Watts, right? Let's talk about when he met Shanann, right? So he met Shanann when she was sick, right? Was just diagnosed with lupus, was going through a lot of different struggles and changes with her body, and the only person that was there for her was Chris Watts. While at this time, Chris Watts wasn't even looking like Chris Watts, right? Like, he was a little peppy set, he was bigger, he wasn't looking that good, if you know what I'm saying. But, obviously throughout the years, he lost a lot of weight. He started looking better. He started looking like, a model, just looking like a man that takes care of himself type of thing. So it's interesting because Shanann comes off as this very empathic, like, I want to take care of people, and just somebody who could easily be gaslit and just manipulated by any narcissistic entity. That is how it comes off. It comes off as like the narcissistic man, and this could be in any roles, it doesn't matter the gender, but the narcissistic man with the woman that just wants to, love him, and they both are just, they're made for each other kind of thing, but not necessarily, right? Because if you took the time to see, why do I want to be with somebody who, is doing all of this extra, I love you, boo, and this and that, and, oh my God, we're having another kid. Like, just his whole aura just seems sketch to me. Like, it just seems very, like, calculated and just kind of methodical. I don't know. I don't know if anybody's following me here, but what I'm saying here is it's interesting how they came together, stayed together, and then when whatever he wanted, right, which was a divorce. I mean, I guess that's what he would have wanted if he wasn't, a little cuckoo up there. But instead of doing that divorce, he goes into this completely drastic manner. So something that just constantly is in my mind is, why did you kill your kids, right? You want to be with a new woman, right? Okay. You want to be with a new woman. You don't want to be with Shanann no more. Okay, cool. We get that. I can understand the murder of that. Now, is it good? Is it nice? No, it's freaking crazy. Just get a divorce. But I can understand that part. But why did you kill your kids? There was zero reason to kill your kids. If anything, you could have dropped your kids off anywhere. I'm so sorry, but anywhere. Instead of those oil tanks, you could have dropped them anywhere else instead of there. So when I think about that concept, right, I think about, again, the narcissism. So somebody continuing their lives with a part of something that is mine, which is his kids. Like, no, these kids are mine, right? Again, me thinking in the aspect of how a narcissist thinks, right? These kids are mine. I'm taking these kids. These are not going to be your kids. If we're not together, then why would the kids be with you? They need to not be with you. So I can see that complication to where he's like, no, she's going to be gone and the kids are going to be gone because the kids are basically mine. And if they're half yours, then they just don't need to be here. Do you see how I'm like coming with that thought pattern? But I'm only coming with that thought pattern with the narcissism in mind. I don't know if he's even a diagnosed narcissist or psychopath or whatever you want to call it. But why did you kill your kids? No one is like, think about, I really want you guys to like tell me down below. Why do you think that man killed his kids? Because I think he killed his kids due to the narcissism. It has to be an undiagnosed mental illness, and I don't care what anyone says. Because for what reason? For what reason did you kill your children? Your child, Bella told you no. Bella said no. The last words she said was, "Daddy, no." And he continued. And for me, I feel like Bella knew something was up. I feel like Bella knew her daddy was on some other energy type thing. I don't know why I feel that way, but I do. Again, I followed this story way too deeply. Like I feel I am invested at this point. I mean, I don't even know how long I've been talking, probably 5-10 minutes, and we ain't even gotten to the reaction. So like I said, I am thoroughly invested. So anyways, with no further ado, I'll shut up. Let's get into the reaction, see what Dr. Todd has to say, and let's go.
This is Dr. Grande. Today's question asks if I can analyze the Netflix documentary, American Murder, The Family Next Door. This film examines the Watts family murders perpetrated by Chris Watts in August of 2018. Another question here is, why is this case fascinating to so many people?
So fascinating.
So just a reminder, I'm not diagnosing anybody in this video.
I wish you were.
About what could be happening in a situation like this. If you enjoy this video, please like it, subscribe to my channel, and consider supporting me on Patreon. I'll put the link to Patreon in the description for this video. First, I'll take a quick look at the background of the case. I'll talk about a few items featured in the documentary that I found to be interesting.
I'm glad you said
I'll answer
that.
the question about
I am
the
not
fascination
supporting
with
it.
this case. The Watts family
Nikki,
lived in Frederick,
girl,
Colorado, about
I'm
30
doing a
miles
YouTube
north
video.
of Denver. Going back to the
So
summer of 2018.
I'm glad you're here because I'm about to dead ass call you out on my video. So guys, I am filming right now and I'm also streaming. And this girl thinks that I am dramaticizing murders. Like on Netflix.
Sometime in early July.
Girl, I'm doing a reaction video. Go sit down somewhere.
Chris Watts grew increasingly distant from his wife.
I will put in like her name or whatever, and I'll put it in the video because, girl.
And of course, by killing his wife, he also killed his unborn son.
I literally love this entire like. It's just crazy. It's such a fascinating story.
It essentially features only video.
When I tell you, people just bother me. I'm like, first of all, how do you dramatize something that's already dramatic? I'm so sorry. Let me be quiet. Let me be quiet, and I'm gonna make sure I block you too. I'm gonna make sure I block you because, girl, bye. Why are you here?
But there was some information that really didn't get covered using this method of storytelling. For example, the nature of Chris Watts' relationship with Nicole Kessinger, its intensity, really wasn't captured, and they omitted his financial problems, which were pronounced. However, I did like how they featured the most meaningful parts of the police interviews, the body camera footage, the recordings from court, and the text messages. I think for people who are quite familiar with this story, the documentary was helpful and interesting. If someone is unfamiliar with what happened, the film really doesn't offer an excellent summary.
Exactly.
There are 5 key items that stood out from the media presented in the film. Number 1, how distant Chris Watts was. In just about every interaction, he seemed disconnected. His mannerisms were odd and cold.
Right.
Almost like he was an emotionless alien who was trying to act like a human. For example, his interactions with his children seemed uncomfortable and forced.
Yes.
Number 2, how his affection for his wife radically changed during his affair. I find this interesting because I think it tells us something about their relationship. In affairs like this involving a husband and a wife, with the man having the affair, if the man is just trying to have fun, like he is bored in the marriage, he will often go out of his way to appear affectionate and not draw suspicion. He wants to have sex with someone else, but he doesn't necessarily want to give up the marriage. If he's having an affair in part because he hates his wife or is otherwise quite unhappy, then we see the behavior featured in this case. He's just done. He's not even going to pretend that he's still interested in the marriage. The third item is how Chris's wife was dominant. Now, in marital relationships, it's quite common for one person to be dominant and the other person to be submissive. Murder is not a likely outcome.
Exactly.
Like,
why did you kill?
I think in this case, it could tell us something about why Chris was so determined to escape. For him, the affair was exciting because of the sex, but also because of the freedom. He wanted to break free from his wife and his family. What it doesn't explain is why he killed his entire family to escape when he simply could have left. It could be that because he was submissive in that relationship, when he became assertive, he lost control because he really didn't have a lot of experience with that behavior. So both the relationship and being assertive were frightening to Chris. He may not have been physically afraid of his wife, but perhaps he was scared at an interpersonal level, like he didn't want to be judged or belittled. This certainly doesn't justify murder, but perhaps it sheds light on his thought process. Another thought related to this is how Chris's wife tried to project this image of a perfect family using social media. For example, Chris seemed uncomfortable during the pregnancy announcement video.
Right.
The fourth item was how he murdered his daughters. Murder is actually not terribly common, but when it does happen in a family like this, the husband murdering the wife would be the most common scenario.
That's what I'm saying.
A husband murdering his children would be uncommon.
Uncommon.
If it was kind of a heat-of-the-moment crime, one would think that he would stop after killing his wife.
Thank you.
Did his anger for his wife extend to his children, or was he simply so callous that it became a calculation? The children's existence became inconvenient to him after he killed their mother. I think it's more likely that the latter is true. Therefore, this crime was likely premeditated. He wanted to wipe out his
entire family
and start a new life.
Exactly. But that is where I'm like, there has to be a mental illness there, because why?
That's why it's the number one most
why? I don't understand.
The fifth item is the propagation of pseudoscience. As we've seen many times in other cases, here we see that the police used the so-called lie detector test, referred to as a polygraph, to determine if Chris was being deceptive.
He failed that mode
in reality,
so hard.
of course, these instruments are only slightly better than chance at detecting lies and often do more harm than good. My concern is that the outcome of this case may convince people that polygraphs are good. After all, most people agree that Chris Watts should be in prison for the rest of his life, and that's what happened. But pseudoscience is never good. It's never actually helpful. This is just another example of police trying to out-deceive a deceiver. Essentially, we see a contest to determine who can lie more. The exact motivation for Chris Watts to commit these murders is a mystery. It was probably due to a confluence of vulnerability, the dominant-submissive dynamic of the relationship, excitement-seeking,
but his mental
financial
illness,
stress, marital stress, selfishness, and a heavy investment in fantasy. Now moving on to the question of the public's fascination with this case. What is it about this case that captures people's attention? I think there are 3 key factors. Chris Watts may have been odd and distant, but he certainly didn't appear to be a killer. I think this is quite confusing for a lot of people. I think there is this idea that if someone like this could commit these crimes, who is safe? Like if Chris Watts could do this, how many other people are capable of such actions? I don't think this component of the fascination is strictly about a fear of being a murder victim. It could also be a fear of being the perpetrator of homicide. It forces people to examine their own destructive potential. Many people can identify with the dynamics of Chris Watts' marriage, being dominated, being unhappy, having an affair. So they might wonder if they themselves are capable of committing
But you're
homicide.
kids,
The
and
second
they
item
were
of
so
fascination
cute.
would be the conspiracy theories.
Like, wow.
Even though it's clear that Chris Watts did commit the murders, the exact details of what happened are still a mystery, because all we have are the statements made by Chris Watts.
Right.
And again, he's fairly comfortable
I don't.
lying. For example,
Okay.
did he really murder his daughters after his wife, or did he murder them before she came home early on August 13th? There's no way to know for sure.
Right.
Whenever there's a serious crime and details are not known, it becomes fascinating because of all the conspiracy theories. These elaborate schemes fill the void where knowledge would normally be. Now moving to the third reason that this case is fascinating, I think this has to do with how their lives seemed perfect, yet ended tragically. From the outside, the Watts family should have been happy. They had each other.
Literally.
People thought they had satisfactory financial resources. They had that big house. We see these social media postings of a picture-perfect life.
Right.
Chris Watts destroyed that in a matter of hours. It is the uncertainty that is both troubling and fascinating.
I don't think he likes
Our family is
being
so
like
fragile that an
on
affair
social
combined
media.
with a few other stressors could result in their destruction. I think it's likely that Watts would have not committed this crime if he wasn't involved in that affair. This tragedy really does point to the dangers of infidelity. Affairs inject excitement and hope into a miserable marital relationship. But the difficulty is that the marital structures are not easy to move in and out of.
I just can't imagine, y'all. I literally just I can't, like, and the kids were cute. Everything was like, what? Just get a lawyer and get divorced. Simple.
Emotionally,
it's just like,
family,
wow.
Financially,
and the Nicole girl, like,
to the public,
girl,
so their self-esteem. If an affair is so appealing that one of the parties cannot picture it ending, they may take extreme action.
That is
This
crazy.
dynamic is the most dangerous when the affair not only brings what the person thinks of as joy, but alleviates their pain. This creates a massive differential between the marital and affair relationship.
I can't.
In the short run, affairs often seem very desirable. A heavy investment in fantasy can magnify this differential even more.
Bro.
If the person can suspend reality, anything becomes possible. Those are my thoughts on the Netflix documentary about Chris Watts. Please put any opinions and thoughts in the comment section. They always generate an interesting dialogue. As always, I hope you found my analysis of this topic to be interesting. Thanks for watching.
Like, do you see why I wanted to watch that? Because literally, like, I still have not came across. Okay, Choice, I'm gonna need you to chill. Choice. If you watch Choice, you know exactly what that was. But like, okay, yo, I feel like no one talks about his mental health. Like, I haven't heard anything about his mental illness or his mental health. And I remember I saw like this little, I don't even know what it was, but they were talking about like who he was before, you know, he married Shanann, and like how he was growing up, and like how his parents you know, felt like, you know, he was a good kid, and he was just like more quiet, and just didn't like, he wasn't really like out there kind of kid. Like, I don't know, like just the way they described him was like, again, it could be anything. It could be narcissism, it could be from neglect, it could be sociopathic, it could be psychopathic. Like, I don't know. I'm just curious personally, like me, I'm just curious. So it's just like, what the heck? Like, and honestly, those kids were so cute. Like, those kids were so cute. Like, isn't that just crazy? Like, and then this is like another thing that makes me think that, like, I don't believe his story, because she got dropped off at 2:00 in the morning. Like, that's when her friend dropped her off from the flight or something like that. And that's when she came home. So at that moment, she's obviously jet lagged, ready to go to sleep. Like like they're about to go to sleep. So he says that they go to sleep and like they have sex or whatever. Okay, cool. So they go to sleep, they have sex. She's probably feeling good, goes to bed, and that's when I feel like he killed her. Like I don't think he says that like obviously they were trying to figure out if he killed her in her sleep or not. I think that he killed her in her sleep because it just doesn't make any freaking sense to me. Like the way the story lines up, and then the way he says like Bella walked in and was like, "What's wrong with mommy?" or something like that. Like at that point, why are you killing your kids? Like you should have literally been like, "Oh no, you shouldn't be in here." Like take the kids somewhere else. I don't know. Like I'm not saying Shanann deserved to die, obviously not, but just the way the story aligns, I feel like the killing of the kids was just absolutely unnecessarily. It just goes past a boundary that makes me think mental health there just has to be some sort of mental illness in there. Like it just doesn't, it just is not clicking for me. And that is why I'm so passionate about it. That's why I'm getting so freaking mad the way I'm like thinking about it. Cause it's just like, it could have been avoided or something, like therapy. I don't know, counseling, something. Like I don't know. It just bothers me. It bothers me that 2 little girls and then an unborn child like died because somebody wanted to have a different life. Like you're trash, bro. Like anyways, I'll see y'all in the next video. I have talked too much in this video and I'm frustrated. At this point, I am frustrated because it just makes me mad. Like I don't think I'm ever gonna get over that story. I'm never gonna get over it. It's just sad. It's sad. I love you guys. Bye.
Pulling out the coupe in the lot, 12 fuck SWAT, busting all the bells out the box, hit a lick with the